ever see a public apology from a celebrity
Mhm.
and, kind of wonder, like, what really happened behind the scenes?
Mm,
We're diving into a, well, a doozy today, honestly.
okay.
Piers Morgan. Piers Morgan, of all people, had to issue one
Wow.
after an episode of his show, what is it, Uncensored.
Right, right. Piers Morgan Uncensored.
Yeah, and it wasn't just like a quick little tweet like, my bad or something.
Yeah.
He completely scrubbed the interview.
Oh.
Like, it vanished.
Which is, yeah, I mean, that's intriguing to say the least. Like deleting an interview entirely, that suggests some serious, damage control going on that you don't always see.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So what could be so bad that it would cause, like, such a drastic reaction?
Mm-hmm.
Well, this all kind of centers around these accusations, right, made against Beyonce and Jay Z.
Right.
And they were made by the singer Jaguar Wright.
Jaguar Wright, yeah, she didn't hold back. She came out alleging that Beyonce and Jay Z were not just aware of, but potentially involved in, those serious accusations that have been kind of swirling around Puff Daddy for years.
And she didn't just say, like, oh, they must have heard rumors. She went so far as to say she had witnesses,
Oh, wow.
like, ready to testify against them.
Yeah.
We're talking allegations of holding people against their will,
Wow.
even transporting them on planes while unconscious.
Okay, so we're talking serious accusations here, and it's important to note though that Beyonce and Jay-Z's legal team, they immediately issued a very strong denial, called Wright's accusations totally false without any factual basis. That kind of language.
Which, I mean, okay, that makes you wonder then, if they were so baseless, if they were so demonstrably false, why not take legal action? Like, why not sue for defamation?
Yeah, it seems like on the face of it, a missed opportunity to clear their names. I mean, these are serious accusations. To go to court, to have that, legal weight behind a denial.
Right, exactly.
It's a valid question, for sure. And there are a few reasons why, sometimes high-profile people choose to kind of avoid that route.
Okay.
One is something called the Streisand effect. You're familiar with that?
No, fill me in.
Yeah. So sometimes when you sue for defamation, it can inadvertently bring way more attention to the very claims you're trying to shut down, right?
Yeah.
So it's like, the opposite of what you want. And then on top of that, there's this whole other layer of, non-disclosure agreements, which are very, very common in the entertainment world.
Oh, right, yeah, NDAs.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And those might actually legally limit what people can say publicly or even, what legal actions they can or can't take. So there's a lot of factors at play.
So it's like sometimes staying silent actually speaks louder than, a strong-worded statement from a lawyer or whatever.
Yeah.
It's really interesting to think about, like, the strategic calculations that these people must be making behind the scenes.
Oh, absolutely.
Weighing the consequences of every potential move. And it's not even just a legal chess game. It's, the court of public opinion, too, which is its own beast.
Oh, it totally is. Especially nowadays, right? Social media just amplifies everything. So managing perception is like paramount. And we've seen how quickly those narratives can shift, reputations can be completely tarnished, careers impacted, and that's regardless of whether those accusations are ever actually proven true or not.
It's a good reminder that as much power as celebrities have, they can also be incredibly vulnerable.
Oh, yeah.
Especially when you get these kinds of allegations, flying around.
Yeah.
And speaking of vulnerability, I mean, this whole thing with Beyonce and Jay Z, this all went down against a backdrop of already renewed scrutiny on Puff Daddy himself.
Right, precisely. It's like this whole incident just kind of added fuel to a fire that was already, smoldering.
Right.
And it makes you think about how these accusations, they're all interconnected and how they might actually influence the public's perception of Puff Daddy, his legacy, his whole place in the music industry. It all kind of gets tangled up together.
So, okay, we've got this whole, like, web, right? This web of accusations and denials and then strategic silence on top of it.
Right.
It makes you wonder, like, how do you even begin to make sense of it all?
Right.
Like, every time I feel like I tug on one thread, the whole thing just gets, like, 10 times more tangled.
Yeah, and you've hit on such a crucial point, I think, because, these situations, they're rarely ever, like, simple.
Right.
They're rarely black and white,
Yeah.
especially when you're dealing with something like the entertainment industry. I mean, image is everything in that world.
Totally.
And the line between, the person, the public persona, and, like, actual private life, that gets so blurry so fast.
Yeah. Oh, 100%. And it's easy to, like, I don't know, get caught up in the scandal of it all.
Right.
But you're right. There's always a bigger picture here. Like, what happens when you have somebody like Puff Daddy, who has been such a titan in this industry for decades, faces these kinds of accusations? I mean, we've seen it before, haven't we?
Right.
Careers totally derailed, legacies tarnished, I mean.
Yeah, absolutely. You look at, I mean, even recent history, you look at what happened with R. Kelly, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Like, you know, those accusations, those circulated for years and years and years. It was all kind of whispers, you know, behind closed doors, and then eventually it built into this, like, public outcry. But even then, right, it took, like,
Okay.
this incredibly powerful documentary, Surviving R. Kelly, to really bring those stories to light in such a, like, undeniable way. And that's when his career really, really faced consequences.
And that seems to be a recurring theme here, doesn't it? It's like it takes this overwhelming amount of evidence to make real change happen.
Right.
Or even to just get people to even listen. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah, it's a sad reality, I think.
Yeah.
But you're right. The court of public opinion needs more than just, like, allegations.
Right.
They need compelling stories, right? Like firsthand accounts, some kind of, like, irrefutable proof to really get them to move past that speculation, to
Right.
move past that initial, like, knee-jerk reaction of, oh, this is just gossip.
Right. Exactly. Exactly. Which brings us back to right now, to this whole situation, right?
Yeah.
We have these accusations from Jaguar Wright, which, yeah, okay, on their face, they're serious, they're very serious. But so far, you know, none of that has been substantiated publicly, right? And then on the other side of the coin, we have Beyonce and Jay Z choosing silence rather than pursuing legal action, which honestly could be interpreted in a lot of different ways.
Exactly. Yeah. And that's where the real deep dive kind of comes in, right? We have to look inward a little bit. We have to be really mindful of our own biases, you know?
Oh, interesting. Okay.
Yeah. Like, what are we bringing to the table here in terms of our opinions about these people, about these figures already? Are we maybe, without realizing it, inclined to believe one side over the other?
Yeah.
Based on what we, you know, maybe already thought about them. It's so easy to do. We all do it. It's just really important to be, I think, self-aware in these moments, especially.
It's like somebody handed us a puzzle, but like half the pieces are missing, and we're just left to kind of, like, I don't know, fill in the blanks ourselves.
Yes, exactly. 100%. Yeah.
And those interpretations, they could be so different depending on, you know, who you are and what your own viewpoints are.
Precisely. And that's where the, like, you know, the real critical thinking comes in, you know. We can't just rely on, like, the headlines or what we're seeing, you know, trending on whatever social media platform. We have to really be willing to look at the information that is available, acknowledge the gaps, acknowledge the things that we don't know, and recognize that, like, oftentimes there's so much more to the story than we're seeing on the surface.
It's like, you know, that saying, we only ever see the tip of the iceberg. Like, who knows what's going on beneath the surface, you know?
Oh, for sure. And I think that's what makes these things so fascinating to me, you know?
Right.
But also so challenging because we're constantly bombarded with information, right?
Oh my gosh, yes.
Especially now, especially in, like, the age of social media.
Right.
It's so hard to figure out, like, okay, what's real, what's just, like, you know, speculation, what's made up, and it's like, how do you even tell?
Especially when you've got these really powerful figures at the center of it all.
Right.
People with, you know, the money, the teams, the platforms to really control the entire narrative, it feels like.
Yeah. Right, because they have the access to all of the best, you know, PR teams, the lawyers, the crisis managers, you name it. Like, their whole job is to shape public perception. And that's not to say that it's always some, you know, some kind of, like, nefarious scheme, but, you know, it definitely highlights the power imbalance here.
Right, exactly. It's like we're always a step behind, trying to put the pieces together from these, like, you know, very carefully curated statements or, like, cryptic Instagram captions, you know, like trying to read between the lines of it all.
Which is why, and I can't emphasize this enough, I think, you know, all of this, it just underscores how important it is to be, like, a healthy skeptic.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, don't just take things at face value. Question everything, especially when it comes to, you know, celebrities, high-profile situations, like these kind of, like, almost scandalous accusations. Ask questions, try and find, like, different perspectives, read from different sources, you know, and most importantly, be open to changing your mind as new stuff comes out.
It's like being your own detective in a way.
100%, yeah.
You're examining all the evidence.
Yeah.
You're thinking about it from all these different sides.
And I think some of the, you know, some of the the best insights, they come from connecting those dots.
Right.
Right. The ones that maybe don't seem that obvious at first. It's about understanding the history and the power dynamics and everybody's motivations. Like, all of those things matter.
Absolutely. Well, we are unfortunately getting close to the end of our deep dive today, but before we go, is there like one key takeaway,
Woo.
one thing you really hope our listeners kind of, walk away with today?
I think if there was one thing I would want people to take away from all of this, it would be approach these situations with curiosity, yeah, but also that critical eye.
Yeah.
Don't be afraid to ask those tough questions, challenge what you think you know, and remember, there's always more to the story.
I love that.
Yeah.
Curiosity and a critical mind, that's a powerful combination
Yeah.
in this like overwhelming sea of information.
It really is, and you know what? Sometimes it's okay to not know everything. Like, it's okay to sit with the unknown, to accept that, like, we might never have all the answers.
Mm.
Sometimes the best we can do is just keep asking questions.
So well said. Well, on that note, I guess it's time for us to surface from this deep dive, but hopefully you're coming up with, more than just the information. Hopefully you've got that renewed sense of curiosity, that healthy skepticism, and you're reminded that searching for the truth, that's a journey, it's not a destination.
Perfectly put. Until next time.
Keep exploring, keep asking those questions, and as always, thanks for diving in with us.